Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to the Library Tour of Doom. This is a library tour that I'd originally planned to update the one I did in 2019 on this channel, where I would do basically the same thing. The books have moved all around. I've moved all around. This is not quite the same location as it was. It's identical in every way, except it's not. A little bit hard to explain, but I'd originally planned to just do that library tour over again. Just take you shelf by shelf, go book by book, get it done in a few months. And I put that idea to Lord Ganesha, and he said, "You must break them." So instead of doing that, we are going book by book, one book a day, forever. Because it's not just the books on my shelves. We'll also be doing the books on my iPad and all of the books that I no longer have on my shelves, whether I want them or not, whether I got rid of them and pine for them, or whether I forgot about them. We're going through all of them. But today we're doing a book in hand. It's actually two books. It's a box set from the Library of America. It's this thing, The Diaries of John Quincy Adams. A personal diary that John Quincy Adams kept for 70 years. Never really had much of an eye towards publishing it, even when he was legendary, even when he himself realized, as you don't tend to realize in the first 10 years of keeping a diary, uh, later on, when it had been 30 years or 40 years, when he'd been president, when he'd been to most of the countries in the world, when he'd talked and shaped most of the government policies of his time in one way or another, either by quietly writing them behind the scenes or by arguing against them. After that much time had passed, he knew perfectly well that the document that he was creating entry by entry was incredible. He probably thought it was incredible anyway. There you have him as a young man. That is the young super hottie, John Quincy Adams. And then the other side of the box is him as an old man. And there he is in the middle. And this is a 2-volume Library of America set. There you can see I've got some enterprising soul actually reviewed this. It's probably Gordon Wood. No, it's Andrew Del Banco. Andrew Del Banco reviewed it for the New York Review of Books. And that is what I tend to do now. Not tend to, that's what I universally do now. When I'm reading the various literary journals that I subscribe to, if I find an entry that's about about a book that I own, then I cut it out, I trim the pages, and I put it in that book. If I find a really good literary review of a book that I don't own, but I own another book about that subject or a book by that person, I cut it out, I put it in that related book. It doesn't have to be an exact match. And I do that instead of having a 6-foot-tall iron filing cabinet where I am supposed to stand there hunting down where I read this thing. I figured out a few years ago that this is the way to go. Rather than keeping all those papers, just put them with the books. You're always happy to find reviews like that in books, and this is right where you're going to look for them. So it's right where you're going to be able to find them. But this was a joy to me when the Library of America did this set, because before this, there was no readily available version of John Quincy Adams' diary, and it is one of the most incredible literary productions of any U.S. president, any U.S. public figure. And I might even say that it's the most impressive, the most remarkable, because this came straight from him. This is not a case of saying, well, it's right up there with Washington's farewell declaration or whatever, because or any of the speeches of Theodore Roosevelt or Franklin Roosevelt, because this diary was written in private. It was written, we know, only by John Quincy Adams. There were no speechwriters involved here. And it shows him in a light that a lot of his biographies don't. A lot of his biographies concentrate on his contrary nature. You can sort of see it in this portrait. They concentrate on his status as an American firebrand, as an uncompromising, principled statesman, that sort of thing. And leave out this John Quincy Adams. The John Quincy Adams who was very sociable, could be very sociable, and who had an infinite memory for the people that he'd seen, the things they'd said, the things they'd done. That John Quincy Adams is alive in these journals in a way that a lot of people who've only read about them but haven't read them don't expect. Just a tremendous, tremendous service. I mean, the Library of America is a great service anyway to readers, but this is above and beyond to make a set like this that had been so needed. I once upon a time, 20 years ago, had a big old set. It may have been the last set of John Quincy Adams' diaries. I think it was like 8 volumes long, all maroon hardcovers, each one really heavy, each one really fragile. It was a case where the backing was really strong, but the page quality was terrible. And I had them, and I was afraid to consult them. So it's very nice to have this, and of course it's a recommend. I mean, of course it is. It's a book that I didn't know really that I was waiting for until Library of America did it. Now I'm very, very glad that they did. Occasionally they will do something like that. They'll come out with a volume that I wasn't really aware I really wanted until I saw it, and then and then I thought, oh yeah, that is fantastic. And those volumes are almost always original creations, original assemblies by the Library of America. This is one of the ones where no, they just reprinted the diaries. Uh, but we'll be getting to those Library of America volumes in due time in the Library Tour of Doom. But that's it for today. It's the Diaries of John Quincy Adams. Such a treat. Whether you're dipping into it or whether you're going to make his long-term acquaintance, such a treat. As valuable in every single way as reading a full-dress biography of him. The notes and critical apparatus in this set is really good. Not as extensive as it could be. It's meant to be minimal. It's meant not to impede your forward momentum in reading, and it doesn't. So it works just perfectly. It's the perfect balance. So I do recommend those of you who are interested in the U.S. presidents and like to read about them, don't forget to read what they themselves wrote. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.